Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CoinNewsExtra interview session. So today we'll be talking about insight on the financial sector, financial service sector. So we have a personality in this sector. We have Adetunji. Adeola Adetunji is the CEO of South Africa West Mobile, CEO Muavola Group Limited, Non-Executive Director, CBN. Adeola, you're welcome to CoinNewsExtra.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So you have a very good background in the financial sector, having worked in the financial institutions. So this topic you'll be helping us to talk about it. So we know things are changing, most especially in this pandemic season. Things are changing and many things are going digital. So, but before we go to that, can you just give us a brief about yourself?
Well, like you said, thank you for that question. Like you said, my name is Adeola Adetunji. For many years, I've been in the fast-moving consumer goods business, but my background is in finance. I'm a chartered accountant by profession. And with my FMCG background, I've had the opportunity of pretty much traveling the world and understanding how economies work. And of course, with my financial background also, it didn't take me long to try to connect both the finance bit of things as well as how economies really work. So I've worked across many industries, and after leaving the FMCG as an entrepreneur, I like to call myself an entrepreneur, I decided to focus more on the financial services sector. And the areas that I chose is actually fintech, because I believe that there are lots of opportunities in fintech, especially when it comes to commerce, trade, and financial inclusion.
That's interesting. Thank you very much. So you having a very good background in this sector. So we are looking at the financial services. What are some of the roles it's playing in this in the society?
Thank you for that question. I strongly believe that the drivers of any nation's economy, in fact, of the world economy, is rides on the financial services. The world relies on trade. People rely on trade. There is no way you're going to have two people or two families together and they're not going to trade something. There's going to be some form of transaction. And over the years, what oils that, what lubricates any form of transaction or trade is financial services. It's become sophisticated over the years, from trade by barter to now we're talking about central bank owned digital currencies or digital currencies today and into the future. And who knows what is going to be in the future, from trading by barter, looking for goods to trade, to now that you just do transactions on your phone or on any form of equipment. So going back to financial services, what makes the world go round, if I may use that, is financial services in any form or the other. So when you have an optimal financial services sector, you find out that your economy becomes more efficient and optimized, and you can reap more benefits from the activities of the citizens of any nation or globally.
Thank you very much. And we know how important the financial sector is. It facilitates trade between individuals and nations. So there must be some challenges facing this sector. So what are some of the challenges? You can point out a few of them facing this sector.
Certainly the sector can be better optimized, certainly, wherever you go, because you will have different kinds of challenges depending on which part of the world or which sector you're looking at. But let me focus a little bit more on Africa and the rest of the developing world. and you look at financial services generally, and I would like to split it into two areas. There are the service providers, and there are the service receivers, or those that are meant to be the service receivers. So if we take it from the service receivers, there is a massive number of people that are excluded from financial services. And you can say, what are the reasons? Why are they excluded? Why that exclusion? And those challenges include access to infrastructure. So they can't even have as minimal as the road to be able to get to a bank's branch, and making it as basic as possible. It's the cost of transaction. It's the level of literacy. Some people are not literate enough to be able to even want to consider interacting with banks or banks representatives. It's also numeracy, people's understanding of numbers. It also drives the level of exclusion that you see in certain parts of the world. And mind you, it's not only in the developing world. Even in the developed world, we still have a certain percentage of excluded individuals from the financial services for similar reasons, aside from what I'll call maybe personal choice or religious reasons why they won't get into the financial sector. And then when we look at the providers sector, section of things, why are the challenges there? It's also the cost to serve, because you can't go open a branch in a rural area, for example, and transport cash back and forth when you know that you're going to have very few people that are going to use your services. It is also the cost of, let's say, printing money. It is the cost of them setting up the infrastructure to be able to serve those people that need financial services. And then it is also the lack of innovation and the legacy aspects of old financial services practices. So banks are used to having brick and mortar, but you don't necessarily have to have big brick and mortar for you to be able to conduct financial services these days. So a few years back, for example, you need to have a branch. Now we're talking about you doing a transaction off your phone. So there are certain areas where that legacy still applies. People still won't use those services unless they see a brick and mortar setup.
Thank you very much. Interesting. You've been able to talk about the challenges. You divided it into two challenges facing this sector. So this brings us to this question: how do you think blockchain, AI, and other emerging technologies can play a role in solving some of these challenges?
Thank you very much. Like I said, financial services and financial transactions have evolved over many years, from trading by barter to using objects to make payments, to now we're talking about some form of digital and electronic payments. We're making payments and transactions off your computer or off your mobile device. Now, we are about to see another leap beyond just digital to what we'll call what you call cryptocurrencies and digital currencies. That's where we are moving to, and it's already happening. You've already seen the likes of Libra, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I can tell you now that there are countries that are already either launched, about to launch, or experimenting with digital currencies, and they're making it a national. They're creating their own fiat digital currency, if I may call it that, or what you would call central bank owned digital currencies. So you have countries like Canada, China, Sweden, South Africa on the continents that are already looking at that. And if I have the time, going into the advantages of what you call these digital currencies, it's that they speed up they speed up the velocity of transaction at a very low cost. So it continues to get better. As you're having a transaction, it's happening. And we also know cryptocurrencies, the likes of Bitcoin and so on. You have Libra that was created by Facebook, and it was initially, there are some challenges that are being faced. In my view, if central banks don't start looking at that strongly and creating their own fiat currency to digital currency, if they don't evolve, what's going to happen is that you're going to have private digital currencies being used for transactions, and they will be out of control, out of the control of, or out of the regulation of central banks and reserve banks.
Thank you very much. You really did very well with that particular question. So, lastly, before we draw the curtain on this interview, you are the CEO of South Africa Was Mobile. How is Was Mobile bringing solution?
So sorry, if I may I'm going to segue from the last question into how we bring solutions to the world, I will say, and some of the things that we're doing. Also, bear in mind that with digital currencies, all the challenges that we identify, the cost to serve, the speed of transaction, the challenges of illiteracy and numeracy, all those can be surpassed by using digital currencies. And that's what we have focused on. And we have also focused on it in a way that we bring an intersection between the challenges that individuals face with the challenges that are faced by service providers so that we can solve. So we like to call ourselves the last mile solution provider. To ensure that we speed up that financial inclusion, and we also speed up the speed of transactions. And I would like to introduce our lead device or lead product, which is called the Raven. The Raven, for example, we've created it from scratch using the environment in Africa. And we've launched it in South Africa and Nigeria at the moment. And what the Raven does, it's a device and a platform at the same time that runs on token technology, on token technology. And what it does is, with a device, you can make a payment or a transaction with your fingerprint, which means it takes away the challenge of illiteracy and numeracy. So a person that used to make a payment that can't read, that is scared of using a card, because there are lots of people out there that don't use cards because they either forget the PIN or they lose the cards. With a fingerprint or biometrics, you don't lose anything. You can do your transaction anywhere. Our device is affordable, and our device also is instantaneous. You get a GPS stamp on every transaction that is made, so you can tell even where there are no addresses. The transaction can be recorded. We have the back end to be able to do that. So you can't falsify it because the transaction is with a person with their fingerprint, and it's secure. And it's not like a mobile phone that is costly. And each time you also do a transaction or you use biometrics on a mobile phone, it stays on that mobile phone. Ours gets uploaded into the clouds for verification. That's what we do. And it's cheaper than a mobile phone. So our target price is anything between $50 to $100. That allows, and it's scalable. It's very portable. It's the same size as a mobile telephone, for example. So that is what we are doing to make sure that our financial services is available, it's accessible, and it is affordable. Those are the 3 A's that guide our products that we're putting out there. And we continue to evolve. We're now on Raven version 4 from version 1. And version 4 includes things like NFC. It's got a camera, it's a barcode reader, it's also a hotspot for internet connection. Of course, it will come at a slightly higher price than our version 3, which is the mainstream device. So that's just an example of how we use tokenized environments for inexpensive introduction and inclusion of people across the world. And that's why we call it the last mile. We'll take your transaction from where it is now, from the sophistication of a mobile phone tokenized environment. We'll take it and transport it to where the people that are not included financially are. That's what drives us. Affordability, acceptability, and accessibility.
The three A's. Thank you very much. You are bringing good solution to this financial sector, because this is a very, very important sector in human life. So today's topic, we've been talking about insight on the financial service sector, and our speaker has been Adeola Adetunji. Thank you very much, Adetunji, for joining us today.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
It's our pleasure to have you. Thank you.